Hi, I'm Scott with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at our Lomax Hard Tonneau cover for our 2018 Chevy Silverado. The Lomax Hard Tonneau cover is going to give you a lot of security, whether you're hauling around tools in the back, your sporting goods, any of your outdoor gear. It's going to give a lot more security than your soft tonneau covers. You're not going to be able to cut through this hard stuff. It's got a little bit of a texture to it. It's kind of a nice feel. It also locks. If your tailgate locks, they're not going to be able to get in there at all. Everything latches down, very secure. The nice thing about this hard tonneau cover from Lomax is its ease of operation. All you do is you open the tailgate and you pull this cord right here, and that unlatches them on both sides. That allows you to pull your panel back and then pull your secondary panel back and set it on top of the front one. What that does is that allows you to have room for putting anything that's a little taller in the back without removing the whole assembly. But the beauty of this system is if you need to remove the assembly, it all comes out in one unit. And then you can use your truck bed as a full open truck bed, and all it does is it leaves the rails behind. If you do decide to leave the cover in, you want to make sure that it's properly anchored. On the back here, you do have these clips. One on each side. You have one over here and you have one here. And this little notch, you want to take this bungee style cord and you want to latch it in and latch it there. And what that does is that'll keep your cover from flopping around in any kind of wind or bumps. What I really like about this system is there's no drilling, there's no cutting, there's no anything that's really going to have to get too crazy with the install. Everything's done with clamps. You have two different styles. You've got the smaller one here, and you have those that run up to the front of the bed there. You also have two different ones that go in the stake pockets back here. And what those do is those actually give you room in your stake pockets. So if you have a tie down or anything like that, you should be able to use that tie down in that stake pocket. With this cover, I really like the looks of it. It almost resembles a bed liner coating. It seals up really nice around the tailgate and around the seals. You can't see any daylight or anything through any of the seams. It looks like it's going to hold up really good in a lot of different environments, and it really adds a lot of security to your truck. Overall, I think this is a really nice system for anybody that wants to install their own cover at home. If you really want something that you can pull out and just take out of your truck, I really like that. Installation is fairly easy, and compared to like the backflip G2, this one you actually pull the whole cover out. If you're looking for something that you don't want to have to pull the cover out, the backflip G2 is a really good option. The only bad thing about that one is it'll fold up and it will cover up the back window and hinder some rear view vision for you. If you like what you've seen with the Lomax tonneau cover, stick around and we'll go ahead and get it installed. The rails are side specific. With this one here, you're going to see that it has this gray end on here. This will be the one that will go closest to the cab. When we install it, you want to get it up against this edge and push it as far as you can to the edge of the cab. You'll see that these clamps can be put in different orientations. You kind of need to figure out what works best for you and maybe try a couple different ways on there. You can see that they change different angles the way they clamp down. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and, with somebody holding it, because you will need someone to hold it up, I'm going to go ahead and get one installed in the front. Okay, and as you can see, I'm going to want to change that orientation We'll give that a try. Okay, just get that started on there, and we'll snug it down to keep it held. Then we'll move on to the next clamp. With our last one installed here, you can see that we do have them spaced out real nice. You do want your first one as close to the cab up under your rail as you can get it to go, and then just kind of like go along and get them in to feel around and feel for a good location to install your clamps, and then kind of even spaced on both sides. Okay, so now we're going to go move on to our last clamp here, and we do want to have our little alcohol pad ready, along with this little pad that's going to mount on the side of the body here. We're going to take our fish wire and we're going to thread this carriage bolt just into it up to the end. And we will be using this to install this last clamp. Okay, now we've got figured out that this part of the clamp with the rounded hook on it is going to be the part that goes into our stake pocket, and this part will go down. Now that we have our bolt set up with our fish wire on here, we're going to run it through, and we're going to have that all together and run this down through. Now you may have to move that around down in there by hand a little bit to get it to clear the edge of the top cap of your truck bed. With our clamp in and the carriage bolt held, we're going to take your outer clamp and get it to line up here with the correct orientation. And we're going to just start the nut to hold everything together so we can let go of the carriage bolt. Now with it all together and in place where we want it to be, we're just going to snug it down. Later we'll be tightening it down to the manufacturer's torque specifications. With our rails in place and looking good where we want them to be, we're going to go ahead and tighten down all of our carriage bolts and nuts down to the manufacturer's specifications for torque in our manual. Okay, for this part, you're going to need a pair of sharp scissors handy. This is going to be our bulkhead seal, which we'll be installing here on the back of our bed. And you're going to want to start from this side over here and start to pull this red sticky cover off. And you're going to want to run it up into this corner over here, tight, up against the plastic and close to the edge of your new rails you just installed. You're going to want to push pretty firmly on this as you start to bring this along. And pulling the red strip off. And just keep working your way across the back of the bed. And once we get to the end here, we're going to push it up tight against our rails. And basically mark our spot where we're going to trim it. And just make a nice clean cut across there. With our rubber seal installed, with an extra set of hands, I'm going to have Jesse help me out. We're going to lift our cover into place and get everything adjusted. When you're positioning the cover into place, there does have this little gray section right here in the front with a little loop that attaches to the cover. You want to make sure that you get both sides aligned here, because this is what's going to latch the front of your cover in. And then when you come back and you're bringing the cover down, you want it to latch in this notch right here on both sides, and you'll hear an audible click when you have that in place. Now you'll want to take this little safety clip here, and you'll have a loop right here in the middle portion. You want to click that on, and you'll put that on both sides. With our safety clips attached, now we're going to go ahead and do our test fit and close our cover up. When we're closing it, we want to make sure there's no binding and everything's sitting the way it's supposed to. Bring it back slow, nice and easy, making sure everything looks good. When we do this, you want to make sure your little latches click for you and everything sits good and flush. Go ahead and close your tailgate and make sure everything lines up and seals up. In this case, everything looks good. And that'll do it for a look at our Lomax Hard Tonneau cover for our 2018 Chevy Silverado 1500.